Bullshit.
18. Despite being as successful as male athletes.
Oh, shit.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, I mean, I just
fucking shit.
I just read the title of that itself when I first looked at this article, and I was thinking to myself, bullshit. The NFL, that NFL is proof there that male athletes are more successful than female
Compared
athletes.
to the lingerie football league.
Far more people view male athletes, view their games than female athletes. That's why they make more money.
First article here is talking about feminism. It's a very recent article, actually, August 9th, 2019, so it's not completely irrelevant. It's not like we're pulling something up from the old ancient skeptic community versus SJW.
Oh, yeah, those great everyday feminism articles. Matt.
Yeah.
Remember 5 reasons not to bring up slavery when black women assert their sexual autonomy?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good one.
Even if you got a kink, don't do it, people.
Yeah, that was the joke I made. Yeah, but what if that's her kink, though?
18 ways that women still aren't equal to men. If anyone tries to tell you otherwise, show them these statistics. Statistics, quote unquote. Let's see. Do you want to give some backstory, JJ, since you were the one who shared this article?
Oh yeah. So I ended up telling a certain feminist that goes by the name on TikTok, eBoy Alicia. She sent her fans after me. I got like 300 plus comments, and it got pretty dark. But some feminist later, who was actually kind of civil, I know, shocking. She basically said why they were still, oppressed and shit. I'm just like, can you show me evidence? And at first she was like, I don't really want to, but I was like, you have the burden of proof.
She did
an article.
She did not really want to provide evidence. So just her mere assertion is all that's enough, apparently.
Yeah, I might have misremembered it, but that's how I remember it.
Well,
but then
I don't need to provide evidence. I just know it.
Yeah, I mean,
why? Yes. Why?
Maybe
feminists should stop quoting no bullshit already. It's a bad idea. Look.
I don't need to provide evidence.
I just know it.
But yeah, but
I don't need to provide sources, you retard.
She might have been civil to you on the surface, but it was just such arrogant.
Kind of passive aggressive, yeah.
Underneath what she was saying, yeah, exactly. But
I believe that it was proof.
I briefly looked at this article myself, and just looking at the titles, I know that some of this was going to be already past debunked shit. Some a good portion of some of the rest is gonna be petty shit, and some of it I can't remember. Maybe
I'm already predicting. I don't even know what the article is. It's all going to be the most trivial first world problems imaginable.
Like how dare that man catcall me? How dare he just randomly say across the street, "You're beautiful."
What? But someone finds me attractive, I'm oppressed.
Yes.
The worst thing in the world is when someone else finds you attractive.
Now,
just because it's rude doesn't mean it's oppression.
Yeah, keep in mind that we're not necessarily condoning that kind of action, but it's really, really trivial, and there ain't no real fix to that except going to round up people just for speech.
Yeah, I know some dudes are shitheads. I know who say some inappropriate, dumb shit to chicks. Yeah, I know that shit happens, but it ain't a big deal. God, by comparison, it's nothing compared to a dramatically higher suicide rate, a dramatically higher workplace fatality rate, dramatically higher rate of homelessness rate, and all other things men face.
Somehow feminism remains a controversial word, even though the definition of feminism is impossible to argue with. I prefer the term egalitarian just to kind of avoid that kind of animosity. And here's the thing, feminism does not just mean equal rights between the genders anymore. It means that men must practically bow and kiss the ring of women.
Which is fine.
That's why you use feminist in quotes.
It's not then no.
Sorry, what? What you say?
I said, which is fine if that's your kink, but otherwise no.
Yeah.
Right. Sounds like a common sense cause, right? Not for the modern day context. Well, in spite of a plethora of data proving that women are not equal to men in America, many people disagree with the premise of feminism, arguing that women already are equal to men, or that their gains haven't matched men's because they haven't worked hard enough.
Which is
the reason why it's
objectively true that women are far less likely to work more dangerous jobs that
and work less hours.
And fewer hours, yeah, which is objectively
and
true.
Maternity leave and take care of your child.
Yeah,
and so continuing on, or that women and men are inherently and biologically different and cannot be compared.
I mean,
sexual dimorphism is a real thing, dumbass. I mean, you. All right, do you think like the tail of a peacock is a social construct?
Others agree that women's rights are a noble cause. Yes. But that men's rights aren't given the same consideration.
That I kind of do agree with.
Courts.
Which is 100% true, but whatever.
In actuality, most feminists consider men also at a disadvantage because of the inequality between men and women.
That makes no fucking sense. How can there be an inequality that disadvantages both the two genders?
I think they're talking about different types of inequality.
I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, different types of inequalities, but the way she worded that sentence didn't make much sense.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, yeah, fair enough. I mean, maybe there's like a few examples. I don't know. I've heard more feminists go on about the gender pay gap or dog whistling, for example, than go on about men in divorce courts. When we socialize men to not show sadness and fear, to provide financially and not emotionally, and to not seek mental health help, to name a few examples. Okay, well,
men only are socialized in that way because women discriminate against men who behave this way.
It's men.
Women are attracted to stoic, unemotional assholes. They are not attracted to guys who cry.
It's gender roles made by both men and women, not just men.
Don't cry in front of a woman. See how much sympathy you get. All right,
exactly. 1. Women pay more for common household items than men do. Shampoo, deodorant, even a 10-pack of socks are among the many products that cost more for women, according to an analysis by Marie Claire. Okay, so you're basically citing your own self because this is Marie Claire that we are reading right here.
You use your own citation? You fucking dumbass.
Okay, now to address the actual point right here. Okay, first of all, there was a very good video by Teal Deer that I had actually watched. I'll have to link it down in the description box below, actually, talking about of how that pink dye, which is like the stereotypical color that women prefer, is a little bit more expensive to make than, say, blue color dye or, say, no color when it comes to men's products. And also, nothing is forcing you women to buy the specific women-oriented products. You can literally just go into the men's aisles and like get a plain white pair of socks or something like that. Or you can get a regular men's edition of Head and Shoulders. Nothing is preventing you from buying those.
Yeah, what was really hilarious is they tried to paint men's razors and a pack of women's razors as being the same thing, but her thumb was covering up that there were 2 extra razors in the bag for women's razors, which is why it was more expensive. Well, see the level they could go to the lie about this shit.
Yeah.
You have to like.
I mean, just to like put the cherry on top of my point, though, the fact that men's products are called men's products is arbitrary. They aren't literally just restricted to men. Women can buy them as well. Men's jeans would be another example. This next point is going on about the ever so repeatedly debunked gender pay gap. Women make less money than their male counterparts. Yeah, okay. As a
Equal Pay Act of 1963.
As a national mean compared to men, yes, women earn less. But when it comes to an actual working woman and an actual working man of the same exact workload, that's not the case. And if it does happen, then it's already against the law. So what else do you want? Do you want like a police officer to be in every single business in America to make sure that that doesn't happen?
The Equal Pay Act of 1963 is a thing for a reason.
Really sad about these feminists, and really how the best example of what spoiled children they are is the fact that they will complain both about earning less money than their male counterparts, and they want equal pay to all men out there, yet they'll also complain that they can't find boyfriends with more money than them. You can't have both. You cannot have both at the same time. It is impossible.
Men take in more manufacturing jobs, and because men do typically actively take the higher paying jobs or the higher paying work fields, that is obviously going to contribute more into a higher mean, a higher average, national average of what men earn in comparison to what women earn. I mean, yeah, it's just a statistical fact right there. I mean, it's not actual discrimination. Systematic discrimination. It's an even grimmer picture overseas. Women worldwide make 77% of the amount paid to men, according to a report from the United Nations International Labor Organization.
That isn't the U.S.
Yeah, and also in other countries, they cut women's clits.
Yeah.
So,
and
apples to oranges.
And beat them to death if you commit adultery.
Right. And need three male witnesses to prove that a man raped you. 3, for Black and Hispanic women, the pay gap is even worse. Black women have to work 19 months to make what white men did in a year. According to the National Women's Law Center, that number is even steeper for Hispanic women, the center found. Okay. You cited Pew Research Center, and then you gone to an organization whose name alone, I kind of question the credibility.
And just as before, they don't examine other factors like number of hours worked, the type of work, the education level. They ignore all those other factors because it's inconvenient to their narrative.
This article is, in fact, being overly simplistic in their descriptions here. Women are... Okay, this is a funny one right here. 4, women are underrepresented in government. Although women make up nearly 51% of the U.S. population, only 25% of the Senate and 23% of the House is comprised of women, which fortunately or unfortunately makes the current Congress the most diverse in American history. Worldwide, just 24% of all national parliamentarians are female as of February 2019, according to the UN. What if women just naturally don't want to engage in politics as a generality? I mean, obviously they're the Alexandria Cortezes of the world, but
even worse than that, it's been proven over and over again that women are actually less likely to vote for other women in office. Like when John McCain picked Sarah Palin as his running mate in 2008, he got a bounce in the polls more among men than among women.
That's ironic.
I mean, she was an attractive woman, I would say.
But
this is coming from a gay dude too.
Whatsoever that women are more likely to support female candidates. None.
Right. Yeah, and you know, it is kind of funny because all the there was like all the popular female Twitter users who were like supporting Bernie. They were not going to Elizabeth Warren. No, they were going Bernie all the way.
Barbs for Bernie on TikTok.
Well, that's just because they had common sense and they knew Elizabeth Warren was a dishonest snake.
By the way, I do want to say that I'm going to have to end up purchasing the full version of StreamYard here soon because I got the watermark for StreamYard covering my face. 5, women are the minority in the executive suite.
So?
At Fortune 500 companies, women currently account for just 25.4% of board members and 6.6% of CEOs. Okay. Is
this article going to later complain that women are the minority of the NBA?
According to Fortune. I mean, I don't know. I think they do go something along the lines of that a little bit later. But, I mean, this is kind of... NBA. Okay, the reason as to why this is the case is a similar reason that wasn't mentioned earlier about the gender pay gap. Why the gender pay gap, or gender pay gap, quote unquote, more like an earnings gap exists. It's because not only is there the fact that more men are in manufacturing than women, and also other higher paying jobs as well. Let's not just stick to manufacturing. It's also because women, it's still typically the case. More women stay at home to tend to the family than men do. Instead of earning the income, they tend to the family.
Well,
So,
that and being a CEO is a very stressful job, and women like less stressful jobs and more jobs with more social connections.
Lonely Wolf says it's the apex fallacy problem. Most of the earnings gap is in high earning jobs with little consideration for the lower earning professions. Yeah, and he also says, for fuck's sake, if you're already working for Fortune 500 companies, you're in a pretty good position.
Yep.
But apparently,
that's what I'm saying. This is the definition of petty first world problems right here.
CNBC reported that Dallas-based online car auction site Copart added its first female board member in July, marking 2019 as the first ever year where every S&P company has at least one woman on its board. You want a cookie?
Is that because y'all are forcing them, or is it because they're actively getting out and trying to do it more?
I love my housewife life, says Miss Cuttlefish. You do, Cuttlefish.
Plus, if Kathleen Kennedy was a man, she would have been fired years ago.
Yeah.
After her numerous fuck-ups, the fact that she still has a job really just shows how much in the executive field that women are actually favored.
Kathleen Kennedy, Susan Wojcicki.
Kathleen Kennedy is living proof for that.
Fuck Susan Wojcicki.
What?
Fuck Susan Wojcicki. She ruined you too.
Yeah. Never mind the fact that per CNBC, no women cracked the list of the top 5 highest paid CEOs in the stock market index.
Look at the hypocrisy of the left on this matter. All right, they say that the billionaires shouldn't exist, and yet they also complain about the lack of female billionaires. Make up your fucking mind.
Yeah, for real. That is such hypocrisy.
Good point. But also, I go looking at a list like that, I'm thinking to myself, that's not in of itself.
Yeah, that's like complaining that there's not enough female dictators.
Or there's not enough female suicide bombers.
Yeah, I cannot believe that people were like celebrating when they thought that the North Korea might have a female dictator. Yeah, a real victory for feminism that showed that women could be just as oppressive and brutal
and funny
dictators as men. Yeah, Lonely Wolf, murderous dictatorship should be intersectional. Exactly.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, you got to make sure that the stormtroopers that are enslaving millions and putting people in concentration camps are properly diverse.
Let's prop Riley Dennis up to be the next brutal dictator of Syria.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez.
6. Women are also the minority in the news media. So, are you going to say, okay, are you going
I've
to
seen
say
more female news anchors than male news anchors.
I'm
more
just like,
news anchors.
who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too.
Eddie.
Okay. All the people, this is my problem with the people. All these people that go talking about, oh, there's this disparity right here. There are too many rich people, or the rich are too rich, for example, or there's not enough women in politics and whatnot. I mean, they like to talk about the resulting stat, but they don't want to talk about the why that is. They do not get down to the bottom of why that is. I mean, we do not care about the what. Us more on the right, and you know, all the anti-SJW types, as I use that term loosely, we do not care about the what, we care about the why. I mean, if, say, for example, a woman is like literally being slapped across the face, abused at the job, and not being paid in comparison to the male counterparts, of where that the male is like constantly on his phone, knowingly too, and the female is like busting her ass and she's still not being paid equal. Well, then that would be the why as to how they're still unequal, just as an arbitrary example. But you're not talking about the why. You're just talking about the what. And we don't care about the what. The Women's Media Center's 2019 edition of the Status of Women in the U.S. Media reported that though women comprise 41.7% of the overall... 41.7%? That's pretty freaking equal right there.
That's pretty. That's a lot more close than the CEO bullshit.
Really? And they're in the minority in the tech sector too. Currently, only 25% of American computing jobs are held by women, disclosed DreamHost in its annual State of Women in Tech address, and that's actually down substantially from previous years. It can be attributed in part to the simultaneously declining number of female college students planning on entering the tech sector. Of the women enrolled in universities across the country, just 20% were studying engineering. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to start forcing more women to study engineering?
People have choices. You shouldn't be forcing them to be equal exactly in that work field if they don't want to be.
And only 18% were computer science minors. I'm sorry,
oh
but
my gosh.
Just looking at the education
Who's
stats,
stopping them from becoming computer science minors?
It's definitely not societal pressure.
just looking at the stats that you are providing right here, Marie Claire, you are shooting yourself in the foot. You're proving it to yourself that you're proving it to everybody that women just naturally and generally don't want these kind of positions. So not a big deal. First world problem. Get off of it.
What about industries where women are the majority? Are y'all gonna be equal and bitch about men not being more in it? Yeah. No, you don't speak of it.
We know of how much that you want to be a fashion model, JJ, but I think you need to lose weight first.
Fuck you.
Okay. The turnover rate of female employees in tech is also disturbingly high. Whereas only 17% of men in the industry leave their company at a given time. 41% of women in tech resign from their positions.
Are they supposed to let women who can't do their jobs keep their jobs just because they're women? What the fuck?
With 56%
that is just straight up discrimination.
Yeah. What? If you can't code, you get fired in that industry. You need to code. And running code that successfully is hard. I've done it.
Don't say hard.
That. Yeah, coding is pretty difficult.
Cream pulled down loudmouth. No, I'm joking.
Oh.
Yes, learn to code. This
but learn to code.
Exactly. Because violating.
Maybe that's why YouTube is at shit. They hired a bunch of inoperable women.
They hire a bunch of women who don't want don't even want the job. Yes.
It's literally ran by them.
8. When women enter male-dominated industries, the pay decreases.
The Equal Pay Act. They keep ignoring it.
As women make the crossover into workspaces mostly occupied by men, often in search of higher salaries with more benefits, the opposite actually happens. The average pay for the industry tends to drop significantly over time, confirms the New York Times. Oh yeah, because the New York Times has credibility.
This article is what Bill Barr was fighting against.
I mean, what if
you remember what Bill Barr said? Dude, women are just constantly patting themselves on the back about how difficult their lives are, and no one corrects them because they want to fuck them.
Except for maybe the gay ones.
Yes, like the number 10, women still shoulder more of the household burden. And far more men are currently at the bottom of a coal mine. What would you rather do? Would you rather be looking after a toddler in the sunshine or be drilling to the center of the earth, shaking hands with the devil?
Okay.
And basically waiting for a rock to crush you.
Yeah.
J.C. Armitage mentioned something in the industry. By the way, women in porn get paid more, yet you won't hear any feminist bitch about the unequalness of that industry.
No, not.
Yep.
It's almost because it's almost like female sex workers are in more demand because men are hornier in supply and demand. But yeah, fuck supply and demand when men are disadvantaged.
Yeah, fuck that.
According to findings from All Rays, never heard of that organization, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the success of female entrepreneurs.
Remember the organizations dedicated to their success? Like, yeah, anywhere.
Wow.
You gotta help the women because they're incompetent without us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's almost an insult to women right there.
Yeah, saying you need our help to be successful
Also-
because of some imaginary problem.
I find it kind of ironic. I mean, why aren't you helping the men? It seems kind of sexist for you to be only helping the females. And now, next, I'm going to start up my own white people only organization of helping white entrepreneurs or startups.
Imagine how racist you'd be called.
Oh, very, very indeed. 10. Women still shoulder more of the household burden. Well, women stay at home more than men, so
Because it's less stressful.
I don't think this is intentional or even institutional sexism, but it is kind of how the pieces fall. Women just naturally end up feeling more attached to their kids than men do because men are too busy
But this
working.
is a sign of privilege. This is not a sign of hardship. Being able to stay home, all right, is actually pretty fucking awesome. Not having to go to work is actually kind of awesome.
Yeah, we don't get to stay in our pajamas. Lugging toddlers around is not always fun. Says Myth Cuddlefish.
Well, I know I'm exaggerating to be funny, but and I know that taking care of kids is hard. I know. I'm not saying it's like all sunshine and rainbows. Okay, I'm just joking around.
Right.
But it is not as hard as driving a truck over ice or working at the bottom of a coal mine.
Mm-hmm.
It is just not.
Women are also more likely to work from home, look after sick kids, or even quit their jobs completely to be caretakers. Keyword there, quit. Basically, they're doing it of their own. They're basically doing it of their own consent. Is that really a bad thing? No.
No, because it's a non-issue that you can't control.
11. Women are far more likely to be victims of human trafficking.
Okay, this is the first real problem this article has actually brought up.
Yeah, that's a real problem.
That's obviously a thing because if you have a dude, are they going to, and they like trying to traffic another dude, they're more likely to try and kill them. Whereas a woman, they feel like they have.
Yeah, like I get example. I don't know if you remember.
Because guys are gonna fight back.
Yeah,
they have more muscle mass.
Hold on. I don't know if you remember that case of those Nigerian girls who were kidnapped by Boko Haram.
Boko Haram.
Well, yeah. People were talking. One person said something that really pissed me off when they said that there would be more attention if the boys were abducted. I wonder if that bitch was aware of the fact that Boko Haram didn't abduct the boys in the school because they literally killed all the boys.
They will kill. If I'm not wrong, they kill man and boys, and even I think threw like a male baby infant to the ground and killed it.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Really disgusting shit Boko Haram did.
I mean, this goes back to biological generalities as well, because again, with the whole thing of men being generally stronger than women, it kind of ties in as to why that humanity is the way it is ever since the beginning of time. When it comes to war, when you have like invading armies, the invading army is more likely to kill the men and kidnap the women and maybe even sometimes rape them. And
human trafficking is a serious problem, and it is a very real problem that does affect women. So all the previous problems this article brought up were complete bullshit, but that is genuinely something serious.
I will say that human trafficking, it is a legitimate issue, is a legitimate sexist issue, by the way, but it's already considered illegal to human traffic. I mean, what more do you want? Do you have a plan or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
14 retired women are twice as likely as retired men to live in poverty. As women make less money but live longer, a clear issue presents itself. You kind of devolve your own argument just a little bit by mentioning the fact that women live longer at that point.
Yeah, living longer is not a sign of oppression. That's kind of a very privileged thing.
I mean, and if you go living longer, it's obvious that you are going. If you go end up, say, a man and a woman are pretty much the same age and retire at about the same time, and the woman lives considerably longer than the man, obviously you're going to end up with the case that a woman at some point in their life is going to have a higher chance of living in poverty and probably a longer time living in poverty than the dude did after retirement. So thank you for involving your own argument.
And if I'm not wrong, men are more of the homeless population than women. So you're forgetting about that as well.
Like, I think it was 2/3 are men.
Yeah.
As women make less money but live longer, a clear issue presents itself. The longer a woman is on Earth, the more money she needs to have in order to survive. Well, no shit, Sherlock. And again,
That's
you go
pretty obvious.
a longer lifespan, so that seems to be, like, in a way, a bit of female privilege right there.
Yep. You live longer, that's a privilege.
And I'm not even going to call it some systemic or institutionalized female privilege. It's just there, and I'm not going to
biologically.
Around 3 out of 7 women who want to retire by age 67 will seriously struggle with saving, says CNBC. Well, stop buying so many damn shoes and makeup then. No. Completely joking, but anyway. Survey results from Aon, A-O-N, never heard of them. A global risk, retirement, and health consulting company show that most women have an average of about 7.6 times their salary saved by that age, when they really need to save 11.6 times what they make yearly. I mean, if part of the issue is
more
of their own fruition, not of their own consent, taking their life and savings into their own hands, well, then that, again, that's not institutional.
You got to do it yourself. You can't play oppression.
It's crappy that it happens, granted, but if a person is going to fall on their own sword, that is, by definition, not institutional. 16, women in Hollywood aren't given the same opportunities as the men in industry.
Hollywood is corrupt as fuck.
That is bullshit.
That is complete bullshit, and Hollywood is pedocentral.
Oh. But what do you have to say in regards to the statistics debunking that claim, Loudmouth?
I don't even know where to begin. It's complete and utter BS. Hollywood has literally tried bankrupted several projects because they've been obsessed with including strong, independent women in all kinds of movies.
Yep.
Yeah, you can look at the last Terminator movie, Charlie's Angels remake, total box office bombs. I remember trolling Elizabeth Banks on Twitter after her movie bomb. Said, "Girl, I didn't know the movie could suck like that. Charlie, how your angels could flop like that."
And they certainly aren't paid the same. This being number 17. Back in 2018, the film All the Money in the World made headlines, but not for the reasons one would expect. It was revealed that Mark Wahlberg made $5 million to do necessary reshoots for the movie, while his co-star Michelle Williams only received $625,000. Shocking.
Because Mark Wahlberg is a much more famous actor. He's a much bigger, who draws in a bigger crowd,
and he gets more deals, like outside of movies.
See what happens when they bring up anecdotes? It flops on.
Jennifer Lawrence was paid more than Chris Pratt in that movie they did together because she's a bigger actor than Chris Pratt. That's how it works.
Chris Pratt is amazing.
And also, another thing about this statement, they said that Mark Wahlberg came back to do necessary reshoots. They did not say Michelle Williams did that as well, so it's obvious that you would get paid more for the higher effort. 18. Despite being as successful as male athletes,
fucking shit.
I just read the title of that itself when I first looked at this article, and I was thinking to myself, bullshit, the NFL. That NFL is proof there that male athletes are more successful than female
compared
athletes.
To the lingerie football league.
Far more people view male athletes, view their games than female athletes. That's why they make more money.
Because men are more talented, generally.
That's even besides the point. It's about who draws a bigger audience. It's not about who's more talented. All right, more people watch the Super Bowl than watch the WNBA. That's just how the fuck it is.
Oh yeah. For example, I'm sure. Does this bring up the soccer team? I'm sure it probably does.
I'm not so sure. Oh yeah, it does mention the soccer team, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, this goes back to like physical biological generalities. I mean, male being stronger and faster, they're going to put on more of a show for sports, and therefore they're going to attract more of an audience and get more money for the industry. So
hold up, I could probably look up some WNBA or like female soccer like film, and it'll show you how bad it actually is
women
compared to the actual NBA.
But that's all subjective. It's just kind of who watches more. If the woman WNBA got the same ratings as the male NBA, they get the same amount of pay. It's all about you're paid for the audience. Just like with a YouTube channel, you make more money off your channel if more people watch your videos.
Mm-hmm.
That's as entitled as me suing YouTube because I don't make as much money off my channel as PewDiePie. That's how fucking entitled that is.
Right.
He draws a bigger audience than I do.
Lonely Wolf says
women's tennis is better than men's tennis. Yeah, I'll agree with you.
Wait. Lonely Wolf, read the entire chat comment. It says, I prefer women's tennis than men's because the ball moves a little bit slower. You can keep track with it. Keep up with it.
Yeah, what balls are we talking
turnaround that he did in his chat comment.
Are there the kind that there's 4 on each side?
That was good, Lonely Wolf. You're saying, Rash?
I'm just talking about what kind of balls is he talking about. He's talking about the ones that
Fuck off, Rash.
Are you
Fuck
referring
off.
to a trap in female?
Actually, no, I was just talking about boobs.
Oh.
No one watches the Cowboys play football when the cheerleaders are on the sidelines. I mean, it's true. They usually pay attention to more to that.
And you are a Cowboys fan, Crusader.
It's true, but that's just because most people hate my Cowboys.
This reminds me of a good joke right here. If you're ever afraid of a tornado hitting you in Houston, go to Cowboy stadiums because there's never a touchdown there.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Volleyball is fun to watch and gymnastics.
I told that to one of my coworkers.
How do you keep a Detroit Lion out of your backyard? Put up a goalpost.
I didn't catch it all, Loudmouth.
Or what do you call 43 guys watching the Super Bowl on a big screen, high definition TV? The Detroit Lions.
And Lonely Wolf says in the chat here, J-Lo and Shakira kind of overshadowed the Super Bowl show. I didn't even know who was playing and who won. I only watched the halftime bit. Well, fuck you,
the Chiefs won.
Wolf.
But yeah, back to that one.
Chiefs!